Right, we are at Aquarium Gardens today. This is Dave.
Hello.
Owner. So Dave has invited me today. He's asked me if I can do a new setup for them in more of the low-tech, more affordable range. That's the sort of style that I do, is the more entry-level stuff so that people can have a good go, get a win, and then potentially move on to some of the stuff that you can now see around us. So for a long time, you've just been like high-end, haven't you?
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of like what we do. We focus on the bigger tanks mainly and CO2, high-energy stuff, and it's kind of what the showroom has been known for. But knowing that that's sometimes not the first thing you might go into when you start this hobby, you want to start a little bit more budget and lower tech. So this is kind of what we want to introduce. We've got people coming in, since the last video and since your previous videos as well. Wanting to do it the MD way, and that's...
Which isn't my way. They think it is, because that's the first thing they've seen, isn't it? But all I've ever done is replicate other people, to be honest. There's no MD method or anything like that. It's nutrients capped off with a nice bit of stuff and some plants.
Yeah, and it works really well. Yeah. So and this is great, and it's getting a lot of people into the hobby. Everyone starts somewhere, and it's working really well. So, and then maybe it might be progression onto CO2 and something a bit more higher end, if that's where you want to go.
Yeah. So over here, Dave, this is the area we're working in, right?
Yeah, we've got our new kind of low-tech nano corner here. So we'll have a few terrariums, small nano tanks and low-tech stuff. So you're going to get started basically with this.
So we've got a superfish cabinet, and the superfish kit is what we're going to do, the scaper kit, yeah?
Yeah, we've got the superfish scaper 60, which is 60-litre tank, and it's a 50-centimetre aquarium.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a perfect starter size, isn't it? It's not so small you can't do anything in it, and it's not a 2 foot, which for some people might be a little bit intimidating in their home.
Definitely. I mean, you can pretty much fit it anywhere. It's quite a small tank, but it's still 60 litres, so it's a good size. I think it's a perfect size to start off with.
And the good thing is, out here, we have the little dojo area, which, you could just set it up in the tank, but the thing is you can get right in nice and quick and then just sort of transfer it over. So I definitely will be doing that.
We can have a little practice before we start.
Yeah, exactly. Let's get it set up, and then I can talk about the equipment that it all comes with. Right, so we have got the Scaper LED 60. This is a very, very good light. I've got loads of these, you guys know. I've got the bigger versions as well. Colouring rendition wise, it's very much just like natural sunlight. You can't fiddle around with it. You can't change like how many reds there are, how many greens. It's not customizable, but it is absolutely perfect. And I find that it does give really good reds. The greens grow fast, everything grows fast. So yeah, really good light. So our light is on, very, very nice. We've also got a filter. So this is the hang on the back. It does everything in one. A really, really good starter filter, to be honest. It's the sort of thing that you'd probably be able to upgrade at a later date if you wanted to, but to get you going, it's definitely really good. To be honest, some of my tanks, I just keep it on and they're still doing good to this day. So it's got like a little surface skimmer built into it as well, which is good. Controllable flow, plus you can take those cartridges out and clean them if you want to as well, or you can just replace them, but yeah, works very well. There we go, we've got a nice background here as well, so you can either go with black or the white. Not sure what we're going to do yet, but definitely going to put one on just because we've got the hang on the back there, which some people do like to see, but personally I'd like to sort of just, I think it can be quite distracting unless you've got an absolute ton of plants, which hopefully we will have eventually.
Loads of plants.
It wouldn't be, I hate saying it, but an MD tank, would it? Without tons of plants.
It's got to have loads of plants from the start, for sure.
So you also get a liquid CO2 and a fertiliser with the kit as well, which is great. Literally everything, well, barring a heater, because not everyone will need a heater. So if you do need one, you can get one. But barring a heater, you've got everything to start with. Obviously a really nice cabinet as well, which opens up, shelving, nice, works, looks tidy. I like the design. And yeah, nice little start to the corner. Hopefully there'll be more, won't there, Dave?
Definitely, yeah, it's definitely a good start, isn't it?
So there we go, there is the whole thing set up. We've got a black background on, which is hiding the filter, apart from obviously inlet and outlet, but plants will be covering that up anyway. Got our lights sorted, everything's ready to go, but first things first, nutrients at the base level. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, chuck it in, Dave. It's actually heavier than it looks, so.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, there really is. So we've got NutriBase. As a lot of you know, this is my absolute favourite. I've been using it for a while now. It's not the only way of doing it, but it's just an all-in-one pack that just works so well, and I've had such good success with it. It's very popular, so if you see a bag, grab it, and yeah, start your aquarium with NutriBase. It's so much easier.
You can fit it in.
Yeah, perfect. And I definitely didn't need a whole bag, so Dave's just gone to get me a scoop to get some out. Okay, so NutriBase does just look like sand and gravel, but there's added beneficial bacteria, freeze-dried they call it, added to the mix. There's all sorts of like letters. There's all sorts of letters. So there's loads of additives that basically make it fertile like straight away, but also will grow stronger with your tank as you go. There we go, a nice little base. So you can see from the side here, that's how much depth we've got. I don't know if it will stay like this, if we'll bring it this far forward, but at this point it's just going to add as like a nice cushion to be able to start putting some hardscape in. So here comes the fun bit, we get to go in the room and have a little bit of a fiddle around. No, oh. No.
Is that the right word?
Right, I see, Dave, you have stocked up for us.
Always knew you were coming, so.
First thing I said was, no, you said to me, I'll get you a hotel, didn't you? And I said, no, I'll get the hotel, you get the hardscape.
The deal, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, so, and you have. Oh, we're looking good, looking good. There's more actually than last time, Dave, of the hacky, for instance.
Yeah.
That's good. It's quite big though, isn't it, for this tank?
I think so, yeah, we're going to need something with smaller pieces, yeah. Yeah, you've got a Galapagos stone if you want like a dark rock with pits in it.
Yeah, that's quite nice.
We've got classic series stone, of course.
Yep.
Dragon stone's quite good because you can smash it up easily as well. Dark mini landscape, this is quite nice as well.
Geo here, that's quite cool.
Yeah, it's got like loads of small details in it actually, yeah.
We've got options,
Loads.
Let's pick a nice piece of wood out first, I reckon.
Yeah.
And then we can go from there. I want to go oversize on the wood.
Do you want to come out the tank?
Yes, yeah. Like I'm really into that at the moment, just because, especially with a small tank, you've all of a sudden made it even more of a feature than it would be otherwise. It's quite. ADG was one of the things that made me think of that more than anyone.
Yeah, they do
because
that
they
a lot.
do it a lot. Yeah,
Yeah,
and like
it
you
looks so
walk
cool.
in and you're like, oh, you've basically doubled the size of the tank.
Yeah.
Even though it's same water volume, you know.
It's something you couldn't traditionally do with a hooded tank as well. So
Exactly.
You might as well make use of that.
Make the most of it. Yeah.
We could use some like darker river woods, maybe something a bit bigger than that piece actually.
This is cool.
Look at that.
Both of those. Both of those work together straight away. Oh, done.
You can have it like hanging off the side.
Yes, yeah. So that way it's like you haven't got to balance it. It's hooked on.
Like that.
Yes. And then the other piece, maybe the other side as well.
Yeah.
What do I do with it?
We lost it.
Oh, it's here.
So you could have one there.
But it's just, it looks great already. Look at that. Yes. As soon as, and I'm not going to lie, before you were out here, those are the first two pieces I picked up and was like, oh, I love them. Got like a rusty look to them, haven't they? Like, because it's different to this is what I'm used to seeing, this like proper sort of...
They are totally different colour and different textures between them, so you've got to pick and match a little bit.
Yeah. Are they actually the same wood? Is it just...
These are both mangrove wood from Superfish, yeah.
Okay, cool.
I think if you go with your gut sometimes and you see something, that's the best way.
So I've managed to use the light right in the middle of the two pieces here to sort of pin them in place and just give it a bit more of an even distribution. I did put it at the back, which meant that the foreground was very, very sort of dark. So I've got it somewhere nice in the middle there. I'm also going to try now flipping the background to see if a white one looks better. I'm just thinking it might give a bit more of a clean look. but it'll also reflect the light and give us more light inside as well. A lot of hardscape there, so you're going to get some darker areas, which isn't too bad. We can just put like some crypts or, you know, Anubias and stuff in those darker areas, so it's not a problem. It's just try different things. I'm going to try the white. You think try the white?
Yeah, give it a go. Yeah, if not, we can put it back to the black.
Exactly.
But I think it's going to work, like you say.
That's the beauty of what they've provided you with, is that you can just flip it backwards and forwards. It's not like glued on, or, you know, you don't have to peel it off. I can literally just take it off. I've just stuck it with a little bit of sellotape at the top here, and then I can just flip it and put it back on. Yeah, we've decided the white looks better. It makes the wood just pop a lot more. There's a little shadowy spot at the back there where the filter's going to be, but not really an issue. There's going to be a lot of stems and that behind there anyway, so definitely the right choice. Well, we say that, at the end we might flip it.
We've got options.
Yeah, so that's wood sorted. Now there could be some other smaller details added later on, or maybe not. That might be perfect. You know, it is like a beginner starter tank after all, and you know, you might just be looking for something similar. You might just be looking for something simple and two pieces of wood that look great coming out like that. Pretty simple, right? It's going to need to be pinned down though, and also sort of blended with rocks as well. So let's pick out some rocks. Yeah, so the whole point of this tank is that we're not looking to do something like full high-end aquascaping, because the people buying this kit, if they know how to do that already, they've probably got a pretty advanced setup. So this is more like entry level, and just getting a few pieces to work well together, keeping that cost, you know, not to a minimum, but lower than you would possibly spend on like a big 4 foot, you know, real complicated design. So yeah, we're keeping it simple. So I want to pick like maybe 5 rocks, but of varying size. We need to have a decent sized one to be able to actually hold the wood down, but then for more detail, the smaller ones as well should work well together. Okay, so Dave's just said none of the tanks at the moment have got any Galapagos in, so it's probably really a good choice. Also, there's some nice smaller pieces, which means it will work well for this tank. I mean, the ideal thing and the easiest to use here is going to be Sirius stone. So if you do struggle with coming up with any concepts, then, like, you know, you put that down, it looks great straight away. So with the Galapagos, it gives a different sort of vibe, but more than workable, and it contrasts nicely to the wood as well. Plus it's quite dense, so I can easily glue some wood to it in case it wants to float up. There we go, added some simple stones, the Galapagos stones. Just having them in the foreground, it was just a little bit flat, so I brought some up on top of the wood there. Not only will it help to lock it down, but it just, you know, adds a little bit more height to the whole scape overall. Because we've gone for such tallness in the tank, having an extra bit coming up there is working quite well. If I didn't have such height from the wood, it might be a little bit too high, but again, if you like it when you put it there, just leave it there, but it's working so far. There's another one in the little background section. That is going to be perfect for gluing to now, because I need to glue this wood down because it's definitely going to float otherwise. I mean, it's kind of locked in to a degree with the light here, but yeah, I better make sure. To glue the wood to the rock, I've got the usual, oh no, come on, work, please work. There we go, we got the Superfish glue gel, and then I have this like instant set stuff that I just spray on top of it, and it makes it go hard and solid straight away, and that means I can keep on working. I'll leave a link to this if you guys are interested. You can get it on Amazon, so all good. So that is the wood locked down. Next is to clean up everything around all the rocks and wood, and just add in a little bit of detail as well. Try and sort of merge it all together. I don't mean like blend it, but merge it. So just so it transitions in a bit of a nicer way. I like to use little detail stones as well. Not too much though. I just want a thin layer in the front here, and then some nice little detail pebbles and that in between everything. So I've got this Hugo Kamishi that's upside down, but you sort of get the idea. And it is a cross between a coarse sand and a fine gravel, but I really like the details in it. Little different colours as well, but I don't know, it's a bit more of a detailed look than just a pure fine sand, so we're going to use that. Make sure you pour in the foreground first, and that way none of that sort of substrate underneath will get pulled into the foreground. Then I can just push it all into the gaps. The beauty of this is we've still technically got nutrients in this foreground area, and any plants that want to sort of creep out, they can, but they'll still have a source back there. So the idea here is that the substrates and the nutrients, they're pressed further back, but any plants that we place in these areas can creep because we'll use plants that use runners. So it will be able to go into this area where there isn't nutrients because it would have grown from an area where there is nutrients. So it works quite well. Basically, it just means you can keep this shallow front like this, but still have the plants grow into it. Obviously you can't plant into it, but they can creep into it, which makes it look really natural and good. There we go, look, that's really cleaned everything up quite nicely, hasn't it? But now in between that is where I want to place the detail and make it sort of look like an island, but not completely, because we still want to have background plants. I'm not sure what ones yet. So just, yeah, let's get this detail all filled in the foreground, transform it. You can just go for it like that if you want. Go for that sort of minimalist, clean look. So it's just personal taste. It will still look good if you just keep it like with that high contrast, but it's not really my style. I do like to sort of fill those parts in. So there we go, we've got the nutri base underneath that's going to give us nutrients that we want, but just to bump it up, because unlike me, Dave doesn't like to swap out tanks every 6 months, so we need to just add a little bit more extra in there. So we're going to put some root tabs in as well. All the hardscape done. Now my water is a little bit different to yours, isn't it, Dave?
Yeah, yeah.
In terms of pH, but also
hardness. Yeah.
Is it hard? Can you tell everyone what the difference in hardness means? Because that can be quite hard to understand for people that don't.
Yeah, so for me it's like how many what salts and minerals and things are in the water. So you can easily test your tap water with a TDS meter, and that stands for total dissolved salts. So we've got quite hard water here, so if we test our water with a TDS meter, it'll come up about 300 parts per million, which is considered quite high.
Yep.
And I think you're more on about 80 or 90, right?
Yes, yeah, much lower. So I've got pH of 7, which is neutral, which is quite common across our country. It's just where we are now, it's at 8.
Yeah, we've got about 8 pH here, yeah. So
plants react very differently when the pH is higher because there's less free CO2 in the water.
Yeah,
something like that?
Yeah. For us, like it takes a lot more CO2 to get to. We have to put more CO2 in to get the right amount for the tank. So it takes longer for us to dissolve the CO2 and get it to the right level than it would if you were using CO2 with your water. So in harder water, generally, just put more CO2 in. You'll find you have to turn it on earlier and put more in.
Yes, that's if you're using CO2. So for instance, because we're not using CO2 and this is a low-tech tank, Dave knows what plants do okay or well as well?
Yeah.
Okay, what plants do well at his pH range, which is 8. So if you're struggling with your plants, check your pH. If it's of the higher range, then have a look at the tank, see which ones are doing well and which ones aren't. The likelihood is that the ones that aren't are not going to do well unless you're sticking CO2 in and bringing the pH down. The ones that are doing well, get more of them. I mean, some plants don't do well for me, so I just don't pick them.
Yeah.
Simple as that, unless I'm doing CO2, and then everything sort of does all right.
And today we're going to show you what ones I would choose for a non-CO2 tank here. So
in a higher pH zone?
Yes. Because
without me using CO2 with a pH of 7 and a low TDS, I can pretty much grow everything. Better with CO2, but I can still grow stuff really well. So just, it's all about water chemistry, really, isn't it? A lot more than people think, actually.
Yeah, we try to make it really simple as possible, but if you're not using CO2, just be careful. Choose your plants wisely, and we'll help you with that.
But this will help, actually, because Dave has selected some plants here that we know do well, but also some ones that we're going to try.
Yeah, there's some that we're going to test out and see, and if they don't work and don't grow that well, then we'll just swap them out for something else that we do know works.
Yeah.
But most of the plants that are going in here, I'm pretty confident that are going to do well.
Right, we've got our plants here. So this is Ludwigia plustrus. Is that the super red, or is it just
Ludwigia plustrus super red.
Super red,
is
yeah.
the name, yeah.
So this will go really red under the superficial light, and it's so good for making reds pop. We've got fast-growing stems as well. So we've got the Limnophila sessiliflora.
Yeah.
We've got some Java fern, which is the sort of narrow variety. Nice little clump there. That looked good as a focal point. Nice crypt. Which crypt is this one, Dave?
This is Becketii.
Becketii. Lobelia cardinalis, Wingardium leviosa. Bacopa. We've got Hygrophila lancia. And then we've got more of, we've got some Bus as well, which would be nice. And then we've got some other plants here that are just going to nicely plug into the foreground, and then they're just going to like creep out over time. Not incredibly fast, remember, because this is a low-tech tank, but yeah, they're runners. That's not a runner, is it?
That's Crypt Coroni Wentzii green.
Wentzii green,
yeah.
In easy growth form.
Yeah.
And which one was this? Was the Halanthium
That's Halanthium tenellum green,
yeah.
And Halanthium quadrigustatus.
So they're the spreaders. They are the ones that are going to creep. Is that?
That's Lobelia cardinalis as
mini.
well.
Is that mini?
Yeah, mini, yeah.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. Dave, there's us showing all the plants on the floor. You've got this whole amazing section here. So, yeah, there's absolutely tons to choose from. I forgot that we need some Anubias.
Yeah, Anubiases are in this tank here.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, we've got loads.
I take it some smaller varieties for the small tank that we've got. So Anubias Nana Bonsai is pretty cool.
Bonsai is perfect. Just in that area where the rocks meet the wood. So yeah, we go for the Anubias Nana Bonsai. That's my favourite actually, to be honest. So yeah, it will suit the size of the tank as well. Like you've got to sort of, if you had a big Anubias in there, it would just ruin the whole look, I think. Unless someone's a massive Anubias fan, and then they might want a variety. But yeah, there's no right or wrong, just whatever they want. Okay, so we've got our fern, and the obvious place for this to go is just off centre here. And I always like to start with it just because it's like everything else can flow out from it then. And if I keep it all as one, and then all I need to do is just push it neatly into the gaps, like that. And that is already locked in now. Perfect. It doesn't need to go into the substrate. It will pull nutrients from the water column. It's not too close to the light as well, so it shouldn't get algae. But yeah, great start. And then what I normally like to do is just go around the edges of it where we want to have our Anubias. There's just this piece of glue in here that I've used to glue the rock to the wood, but it doesn't look like much now, but when the water's in there, it will be full on white. So we're going to use this piece of Anubias to hide it. There we go. So now the plants and rocks and wood are all sort of merging together like they've been there for a long time. So we've got some really nice plants there, nothing majorly complicated at all, but remember, that's the point of the build. Just trying to show that you don't have to spend the earth to be able to get something that looks beautiful. Now your biggest cost with all of this, along with the tank, is going to be the hardscape and the plants, but if you go too light on the plants, it's going to be a lot harder than if you try to fill it out, you know, right from the start. Now we're not going silly with it. I think we've used like 10 pots so far. We're going to add a few more though. Dave's just picked out a few crypts. Crypts are a great beginner plant because they don't require a huge amount of light. In this tank we've got plenty of light, but there are some spots where it's a little bit darker because of the hardscape, especially as well once the taller plants at the back are grown in. So these side areas that are quite open at the moment, we're going to put some crypts in there, they'll fill out that, and then the focus will sort of be over the top with all the stems as well, getting really vibrant, and the red as well from the Ludwigia should look great. Also we want to put some mosses on some of this wood as well, just to sort of break up that brown a bit, and then we can fill it up. Right, that's everything done. We've got good planting density. Now it's just a little bit more detail in this wood area. So we've got some nice pieces of boost here. They're only little tiddlers because it's the sort of easy grow sort of style ones. So I'm just going to glue them at some key points just for some interest, as well as some moss. Also, before we nearly forget, didn't we?
I almost forgot.
So in this tank here, Dave has found, if you look underneath, look, we can see there, all those lilies at the back. Now, some have broken off. So you can see there, this is ones that are, one of them's bulbless, isn't it, Dave?
Yeah, one of them's got a little bulb there and some of them just got roots.
But they're already sort of converted to underwater growth, so it makes sense. Oh yeah, let's use them all.
Use them all.
Yeah, either they'll work or they won't, you know. Do you think they'll be all right?
I think they'll be fine.
I think they will. I normally get them, that's the thing, I'm questioning everything because I know I would get them to grow. It's just this pH thing and, you know, we'll find out.
It's a good experiment though.
Exactly. It's all info, isn't it?
Definitely.
We'll find out because obviously, let's get these planted, fill it up, fade the black, and then we can see what did and didn't work. So I'm foreseeing the redness peeking over in that back section there, and I just said to Dave, I think we need just a little hint of a different colour down here, otherwise it's going to be very, very green heavy. So we have got some Crypt Albida, which is like a browny sort of reddy hues to it, so that will just be a nice little subtle change in that front area. And some cakes as well. Right, let's fill her up. I don't know why it's a her, but it is. So it's now been several weeks since the tank was set up and Dave has sent me some video. As you can see, the plants are still doing amazing. The tank looks super clean, as I knew it would be. Dave's an expert on maintenance. And you can see here that he's added a group of male Endler guppies, perfect sort of complement to the size of the tank, and also an excellent beginner fish. I can also see there the stem plants at the back have come all the way up and they're just peeking over the top of that wood now as well. I can also see some really vibrant reds coming out of the Ludwigia palustria super red, and as that grows closer to light, it'll be even more prominent. The moss is settling in, it's starting to look a little bit more natural. When you first put it on, it can look a little bit rough, but it's getting there. A couple more weeks and that will start to spread, flatten out a little bit and just look way better. And to be honest, all of the plants in general are just looking so healthy. We did put a couple in there that Dave hasn't used without CO2 before, and they all seem to be doing brilliantly. To be honest, if there was going to be any problems with them, like melting, it would have shown up by now already. But everything looks absolutely perfect. Now remember, the point of this build was to show what can be done on a moderate budget. Of course, you can do it even cheaper again still. If you really haven't got the savings or the capacity to buy this kit, which I think is absolutely insane for the money that it costs, you can go down the used route to start with, and I would say, yeah, just go for it. You really don't need a huge, powerful, expensive light to be able to grow these plants that we've got in here. So even your most budget stuff you can get will work. Now, once you've done that, I know for a fact you're going to want to go on to your next tank because you'll be like, oh, I can grow plants now. I just want to tidy the whole thing up and I'm really into this hobby and it's worth spending that little bit extra. That's literally how I started in this. I had no extra money ever. In fact, I was just living out of my overdraft a lot of the time. So I had to try and find cheaper ways of getting it to work, and that's what I did. And then once I demonstrated to my wife that I was capable of doing it and it can look really good, then she said, well, why don't we get a really nice aquarium, you know, have it as a focal point in our living space. And I mean, you can imagine how over the moon I was at that point. And then after that, I got sheds and stuff and filled them up. Growing plants is nowhere near as complicated as most people think it is. And the reason I focus so much on growing the plants is because when you do that, the rest of the aquarium is in just full-on easy mode. With the stocking levels that Dave's put in here, there's literally going to be zero ammonia, even from the start, to be honest. And that's an important point. When you first set up your aquarium, don't be too keen to start shoving in loads and loads of fish because that is just asking for trouble. As you get more advanced, you can sort of learn the level of stocking that you can start with. But just know that if you push the boundaries from the beginning, you're going to require more cleanup because they're just producing more waste. The tank isn't settled yet, there's no balance. So yeah, just go light on the stocking to start with. Focus on getting those plants growing, a couple of fish,
and then just add a few more over time. I mean, it's fun, isn't it, just going to the fish shop and selecting fish. If you do all that all in one go for your tank, you haven't got anything to look forward to for the next weekend. So I'm really pleased to be able to have the opportunity to build a tank in Dave's shop. And funnily enough, in a couple of weeks, I'm going there to do it again. We're going to do sort of the next step up. We're going to use a CO2 system, a little bit more complicated plant scheme, maybe a bit more complicated hardscape as well. So we can sort of show the progression into the full-on high-tech tanks that he's got in his gallery area. So I look forward to seeing you guys for that one as well. I hope you've enjoyed this one, and I'll see you soon. I don't know why I said I'll see you soon, because you're seeing me. Yeah, see you later.